Ray Dawson was a simple human engineer who liked quiet travel more than noisy cities. He worked alone on a small ship that moved from one repair job to another across deep space. Most days were calm. He fixed engines, checked wires, and enjoyed the peace. He liked problems that made sense, tools that obeyed his hands, and stars that stretched across the dark sky. One long night, while Ray was halfway through a routine flight, his screen started to flash. A signal was coming toward him, slow but steady. It was not a normal repair request. The code looked old, royal, and strange. The message held a single line: "We request assistance. Our systems are failing." Ray frowned. "Who is we?" he whispered. He checked the data again. The signal came from a large cruiser far bigger than his own small ship. The design matched old imperial markings he had seen only in books. These markings belonged to the Orcs Empire, a strong power in the galaxy, ruled by a young queen named Soraya. Ray felt a small twist in his stomach. He was just a human engineer. Why would a royal vessel send a signal into open space? Still, he had rules to follow. All distress signals must be answered. So he changed course, increased speed, and headed toward the cruiser. As he approached, the size difference shocked him. His ship looked like a tiny speck next to the giant silver-blue cruiser. Its hull glowed softly, but several sections were dark, showing signs of heavy system failure. Ray landed inside the docking bay with care. When the doors opened, he stepped out slowly, holding his tool bag. The air smelled clean but cold, and light moved across the walls in gentle blue waves. A group of tall guards stood nearby wearing silver armor that reflected the light. One guard walked forward. His voice was calm. "You are the human engineer who answered our signal?" "Yes," Ray said. "Ray Dawson. I'm here to help." The guards exchanged quick looks. Humans were rare this far out, and no one expected a lone engineer to come. "Follow us," the guard said. Ray walked through long halls that looked like they were carved from smooth stone and glowing metal at the same time. Everything felt grand and ancient. His boots made soft echoes, and his steps felt too loud for a place so royal. At last, the guard stopped in front of a tall door that opened like a flower. Inside was a large room filled with soft light, and at the center stood a woman with a calm presence. She was different from any alien Ray had ever seen. Her skin had a faint shimmer, like moonlight on water. Her dark hair fell in soft waves, and her eyes were bright silver, watching everything with sharp intelligence. She wore a long robe with simple patterns that looked royal, but not heavy. There was strength in her posture and gentleness in her gaze. Ray knew immediately who she was: Queen Soraya of the Orcs Empire. She stepped forward with steady grace. "You are the human who answered my call?" "Yes," Ray said, trying not to sound nervous. "Systems failure message. I came to help." The Queen studied him. Her eyes seemed calm but curious. She had met diplomats, warriors, and masters of science, but she had never seen a human up close. Ray looked ordinary to himself, but to her, every detail was new. "You traveled alone?" she asked. "Yes," Ray replied. "That's normal for me." Most people would raise their voice or talk fast in front of a queen. Ray did not. He simply answered like he always did. His calm tone surprised Soraya. She expected fear or excitement. Instead, she found a quiet confidence. Soraya motioned toward the far wall. "Our central power system collapsed during a shift. My engineers are working, yet the core refuses to stabilize." "May I inspect it?" Ray asked. "You may." The guards guided him to a circular chamber where the main power core stood inside a crystal-like container. Several alien engineers worked there, moving fast and speaking softly. They looked stressed. One of them said, "This is delicate work. A human cannot understand our design." Ray stepped forward. "Let me try." The alien engineers hesitated, but Soraya raised her hand from across the room. "Let him work." Ray crouched near the open panel. The wires looked different from human technology, flowing like living lines. Still, technology had patterns. He watched for a moment and soon he began to understand the structure. He did not rush. His fingers moved with care, checking each part like he was listening to its story. The engineers watched with surprise. Ray reached for a tool and tapped a crystal wire gently. This circuit is overloaded. It needs a slow reset, not force. One engineer frowned. We tried everything except a slow reset. That's the problem, Ray said. Your system is sensitive. It needs patience. He adjusted the energy flow, reconnected a control line, and pressed a manual reset. A soft hum filled the room. Light moved through the wires, slow and steady, then brighter and brighter. Suddenly, the core lit up completely. The engineers stared. The guards exchanged looks of disbelief. Ray stood up, wiping his hands. It should be stable now. Queen Soraya approached him. Her silver eyes held surprise and respect. Your method was simple, yet my best engineers did not see it. Ray shrugged gently. Sometimes the answer hides in plain sight. Soraya watched him closely, as if she wanted to understand his mind. His calm nature felt different from the loud confidence she often saw around her. Humans, she had heard, were unpredictable, brave, and strange. Ray was quiet, steady, and thoughtful. She found herself wanting to know more about him. Before she could speak again, the ship shook. The lights flickered. A deep alarm echoed across the hall. The guards raised their weapons quickly. The engineers stepped back. Ray looked up, alert. A voice came through the speakers. Unidentified threat is approaching the cruiser, distance closing. Ray turned to the Queen. She stood firm, calm, but her guards stepped closer, forming a protective circle around her. We must move you to safety, one guard said. Soraya waved her hand. Not yet. Ray checked the nearest screen. Your power is stable now, but your defense systems are still offline from the earlier failure. Soraya nodded. What do you suggest? Ray took a breath. He did not know royal protocols. He did not know their politics. He only knew how to solve problems. Bring me access to your defense controls, he said. I can reroute power quickly, enough to protect the ship. The guards hesitated. A human controlling royal systems felt unthinkable. Yet Soraya answered without hesitation. Give him access. Ray rushed to the console. His hands moved fast across the glowing symbols. He rerouted power, strengthened the shields, and activated a protective barrier. Just as the threat came close, the shields lit up. A bright field wrapped around the cruiser, steady and strong. The attack never touched them. The alarm stopped. Everyone turned to Ray. Soraya stepped forward again. Her gaze softened. You saved us twice in 1 hour, she said. You arrived as a stranger, but you already stand as someone important. Ray looked away for a moment, unsure what to say. He never saw himself as special. He was just a man who fixed things. Soraya watched him with a growing warmth she tried not to show too quickly. Stay with us for some time, she said softly. There is more I wish to understand. Ray nodded. I will help however I can. For the first time that night, Soraya smiled. It was small but bright, filled with something new. Ray did not know it yet, but this moment would change both their lives forever. Ray stayed on the royal cruiser longer than he expected. At first, he thought he would fix the systems and return to his small ship. That was his normal life. Repair, travel, repeat. He never imagined he would walk through royal halls or speak with a queen. Yet something about Soraya and her ship made him feel he should not leave too soon. The next morning, Ray woke up in a quiet guest room made of soft lights and smooth walls. The room felt peaceful, but everything around him reminded him he was far from home. He washed up, grabbed his tool belt, and stepped outside. A guard waited for him. Queen Soraya asked for you, the guard said. Ray nodded and followed. The halls were calm this time, no alarms, no rush, just soft steps and warm light flowing through the walls. The guards did not treat him like a threat anymore, but they still watched him with careful eyes. He could understand that. Humans were rare in this part of space. A queen trusting a human this quickly was even rarer. They reached a large balcony that looked out into deep space. Soraya stood there, her hands behind her back, watching the stars in silence. When Ray stepped closer, she turned. "You slept well?" she asked. "Yes," Ray said. "Thank you for the room." Soraya nodded. Her expression was calm, but her eyes showed she had been thinking deeply. "My people talk a lot," she said softly, "especially after something unusual happens." Ray understood. "They are unsure about me." "Some are unsure," she said. "Some are curious. Some are confused." Ray waited politely. He did not want to assume anything about royal matters. Soraya continued. "Our empire has many rules. Many expect me to follow certain traditions. They believe the queen should keep distance from strangers, especially humans." Ray felt a small weight in his chest. "If my being here is causing trouble, I can leave after repairing the remaining systems." Soraya looked at him with a soft but firm gaze. "You came when we needed help. You stayed calm in danger. You worked with honesty and skill. I do not ask such a person to leave." Ray looked at the stars for a moment. He had never heard a royal leader speak with such fairness. Many people in power cared more about titles than truth. Soraya cared about actions. She stepped closer. "Walk with me. There is something I want you to see." They walked through the upper halls until they reached a wide room with transparent walls. Inside were large projection tables showing maps, routes, and symbols. Several officers stood around, talking quietly until Soraya entered. Then everyone bowed. Ray stayed near the entrance, unsure if he should step closer. Soraya waved her hand. "He may stand beside me." The officers exchanged curious glances. A few whispered to each other. Soraya ignored the whispers. She pointed to a glowing map. "This is our travel path. Our cruiser is on a diplomatic journey. Many leaders will be waiting for us at the next station." Ray nodded. "So you have a big meeting ahead?" "Yes," Soraya said. "Very big. They want to discuss alliances, peace agreements, and royal decisions." Ray glanced at her. He could sense there was more behind her words. One officer stepped forward. His voice was respectful but tense. "Your Majesty, some leaders may misunderstand your interest in this human." Ray stiffened slightly. Soraya spoke calmly. "Misunderstanding comes from fear. Fear should not control our choices." The officer lowered his head and stepped back. Soraya continued studying the map while Ray watched quietly. He could feel the pressure around her. She carried her empire on her shoulders, yet she moved with quiet strength. After some time, they left the room and walked down another hall. The soft blue light on the walls reflected gently on Soraya's features. Ray spoke carefully. "You don't have to explain anything to me. I'm only here to help." Soraya slowed her steps. "You are here because you help. But you are also here because you remind me that true strength is not loud. It is steady." Ray did not know how to respond. No one had said something like that to him before. They reached the engine control chamber. A group of engineers worked there, still adjusting parts Ray had helped repair. When they saw him, their expressions softened from doubt to respect. One engineer approached him. "Human, your repair yesterday saved us from a complete shutdown." "We thank you." Ray gave a modest nod. "Glad it worked." Soraya watched him again with that same curious patience. She liked how he never tried to show off. He just did what needed to be done. While Ray worked with the engineers, a soft alarm sounded. "Message from the outer scanners," a guard said. "A group of small ships is approaching." Soraya's expression changed. "Not enemies, I hope." The guard checked the data. "No. It is a royal escort group from Station Aralan. They want to meet you early." Soraya sighed softly, almost tired. "They always arrive early. They want to observe everything I do." Ray looked up. "If you need space, I can stay out of sight." Soraya shook her head. "No, you will join us later. There is something I want them to learn." Ray raised an eyebrow but did not question her. For the next few hours, Ray worked with the engineers, tightening systems and adjusting power lines. He moved with quiet focus, and the engineers followed his instructions without hesitation. For the first time, Ray saw them smile slightly instead of frowning. Later, a guard approached him. "The Queen calls for you." Ray put away his tools and followed. He entered a large hall filled with soft golden light. Several alien nobles stood in clusters, talking quietly. They wore elegant clothing with detailed patterns. They looked confident and proud. But when they saw Ray, their faces changed to surprise and confusion. Ray felt uncomfortable but stayed calm. Soraya stood at the center of the hall. She looked more formal now, wearing a long silver robe with gentle symbols of her empire. When she saw Ray, her expression softened, almost like she was relieved he had arrived. She walked toward him, her step steady. Many nobles whispered, "Why is a human here? Why does the queen call him? Is he a guard? No, he looks too simple." Soraya ignored all the whispers. She stopped beside Ray and spoke clearly, loud enough for everyone to hear. "This human is Ray Dawson. He repaired our failing systems when no one else could. He protected this ship when danger approached. He stands here not as a stranger, but as someone I value." The hall grew quiet. Ray felt the weight of many eyes, but Soraya's presence beside him kept him steady. One noble stepped forward. "Your Majesty, we respect your choices, but it is unusual for you to show such trust toward someone outside our empire." Soraya did not raise her voice. She did not show anger. She simply answered, "My trust is earned through actions, not titles." The noble lowered his head, unable to argue. Ray stood tall beside her. He knew she had defended him in front of powerful people, and he respected her courage. After the meeting ended, Soraya led Ray to a quiet balcony. "You handled their stares well," she said. "I'm used to people doubting me," Ray replied. "I let my work speak." Soraya looked at him with calm admiration. "Your work speaks clearly." For a moment they stood in silence, watching the distant stars. Soraya finally spoke. "Ray, the road ahead will not be simple. Some may challenge my decisions. Some may question your place near me." Ray turned toward her. "If you want me here, I will stay." A gentle warmth filled her eyes. "I do." It was not a romantic moment, not yet. It was the start of trust, the kind that grows without noise. In her heart, Soraya felt something changing. In his heart, Ray felt the same. Their bond was only beginning, but the galaxy would soon see where it would lead. The royal cruiser moved through deep space with smooth silence. But inside the ship, silence did not mean peace. Ray felt this as he walked through the long, bright halls that morning. He could sense tension around every corner. Guards spoke softly. Officers exchanged worried looks. Even the engineers worked with a heavy air. Something was brewing inside the Empire, and Ray could feel it. He reached the main control room. Soraya was there, speaking with her advisors around a glowing table full of maps and symbols. Her face looked calm, but Ray saw the quiet pressure behind her eyes. When she noticed him, she gently nodded for him to come forward. "Morning, Ray," she said. Ray nodded back. "Morning, Your Majesty." "You can call me Soraya when we are not in formal meetings," she said in a soft tone. Ray hesitated for a moment. "All right. Soraya, then." Some of the nobles around her exchanged glances. They did not speak, but the message was clear. They thought a human using the Queen's name was too familiar. Soraya ignored them. "We have a problem," she said, turning to Ray. Ray looked at the map table. A large red symbol flashed near the ship's route. "That red mark," Ray said. "Enemy?" "No," Soraya replied. "Worse. That is a council of nobles who want to influence my decisions." Ray raised an eyebrow. "Influence how?" Soraya kept her voice calm and steady. "They believe I must choose a partner from their families. They think it is the only way to keep political balance. They do not want me to choose freely." Ray felt a strange tightness in his chest. "This is why they keep watching you?" "Yes," Soraya said. "Every step I take, they measure it. Every word I say, they judge it." Ray looked at her quietly. "That's a heavy way to rule." "It is," Soraya said. "But it is the life of a queen." Her advisors left after a few minutes, but one noble stayed behind. He was tall, with sharp eyes and a stiff expression. His voice carried the tone of someone used to being obeyed. "Your Majesty," he said, "you show too much trust toward the human." Ray stayed silent. Standing a few steps behind Soraya, the noble continued, "This is unwise. The Empire expects you to follow tradition. We must protect alliances. Your choices cannot be guided by personal interest." Soraya answered with calm strength. "My choices are guided by what is right for my people." "Then step back from the human," the noble said. "He is not one of us." Ray said nothing. He knew this was not his place to argue. Soraya's voice became firm. "You forget something. It was this human who repaired our failing systems. He saved my ship twice. None of your chosen nobles did that." The noble frowned. "He is a visitor. He should not stand beside you." Soraya stepped forward, her eyes bright with controlled power. "I decide who stands beside me." The noble bowed stiffly and left the room, clearly unhappy. Ray let out a small breath. You didn't need to argue for me. Soraya turned toward him. I did. Because you deserve respect. Ray looked away for a moment. He was not used to someone defending him like that. It felt strange, warm, and confusing all at once. Soraya continued. Walk with me. They entered a quiet corridor that led to a training hall. Guards trained inside, moving with precise steps. Soraya stopped at the edge, watching them. Do you know why I train my guards so carefully? She asked. Ray shook his head. Because leadership attracts danger, Soraya said. I must always be ready, and I must choose people I trust. Ray listened. He understood that her confidence came not from comfort, but from constant pressure and responsibility. She turned to him. You helped my people without fear. You worked with calm hands even when the ship was shaking. Humans have a strength many do not understand, Ray shrugged. I just fix things. Soraya smiled slightly. You fix more than machines. You fix problems with patience and courage. That is rare. Ray felt heat rise faintly in his face. He wasn't used to praise like this. Before he could reply, alarms blared again. Energy spike detected, a guard shouted. Something is interfering with the stabilizer. Ray ran to the nearest panel and tapped through screens. Your stabilizer core is overloading. If it keeps rising, your ship will suffer heavy damage. Soraya stepped beside him. Can you stop it? Yes, but I need access to the lower maintenance deck, Ray said. It's dangerous down there. Pressure levels can drop without warning. Soraya turned to her guards. Escort us. Ray quickly shook his head. Guard movement will slow things down. Let me go alone. Soraya stepped forward. I am coming with you. Ray looked at her. It's not safe. Soraya looked right back at him. I do not watch others risk themselves while I stay behind. Ray saw determination in her eyes. He nodded. All right. Stay close. They moved quickly down winding metal stairs into the lower deck. The air was hot. The walls trembled slightly. Blue sparks flickered from open wires. A deep hum filled the space. Ray knelt beside the glowing stabilizer block. This is overloading fast. I need to shut down the secondary line. Soraya watched him closely. Tell me what to do. Ray guided her step by step. Hold that lever steady. If it falls, the pressure will spike. Soraya held it with steady hands. Ray rewired 3 lines, then reached inside the machine. The hum grew louder and Ray felt heat push against his skin. Almost done, he said. Just one last fuse. A loud crack echoed. The stabilizer surged with light. Soraya called out, Ray! Ray stayed calm. He snapped the last wire into place. The hum softened. The light steadied. The stabilizer calmed down. Soraya exhaled deeply. You risked yourself again. Ray smiled faintly. That's my job. Soraya looked at him with eyes that held more emotion than before. Admiration, respect, and something softer growing slowly like a quiet spark. They climbed back up to the main deck. Officers and guards waited anxiously. When they saw Soraya safe and the system stable, they bowed with relief. One officer said, Your Majesty, many nobles wait to speak with you. They demand answers about your choices. Soraya lifted her chin. Let them wait. The officer froze, surprised. Soraya walked past them with steady steps until she reached the balcony again. Ray stood beside her, unsure if he should stay. She looked at him. Ray, do you understand why the nobles argue so much? Ray shrugged. They want control, and they don't want a human near their ruler. Soraya nodded. They want to decide my life. They want to choose my partner, my alliances, even my future. Ray stayed silent. Soraya took a slow breath. I have made my decision. I will choose with my own mind, and I will not let anyone decide for me. Ray looked at her carefully. And what is your decision? She stepped closer, standing only a breath away. Her silver eyes held warmth and courage. I choose the person who stood with me in danger, she said softly. I choose the person who helped my people without asking for anything. I choose the person who showed me quiet strength. Ray's heart beat harder, but he stayed calm. Soraya finished with steady certainty. Ray, I choose you. The stars outside seemed brighter, as if the galaxy itself paused to listen. Ray felt the weight of her words. Powerful, serious, honest. He did not know what the future would bring, but in that moment he understood one thing. Soraya's decision would change not only their lives, but the entire empire. The hall of the alien queen's palace was unlike anything Aiden had ever seen. Towering columns shimmered with a subtle liquid-like glow, and the air carried a faint hum, as if the building itself were alive. Every step he took echoed softly, but he felt no fear. Instead, there was a strange sense of purpose, as though fate had led him here. Aiden's eyes wandered to the queen herself, sitting upon a high, crystalline throne. Her presence was magnetic. Even among her attendants and guards she shone. The moment their eyes met, something unspoken passed between them. He had felt it before, fleetingly in brief encounters among the stars, but here it was undeniable. "You've come far, Aiden," the queen said, her voice melodic yet firm. It resonated through the hall, carrying authority and warmth at the same time. Farther than any human has ever reached. Aiden's lips parted slightly. I didn't know I was meant to come this far. I just followed my mission." The queen's smile deepened. "Your mission led you to me, and now it leads you beyond the walls of expectation. You are no ordinary human, and yet you do not see yourself as extraordinary." Aiden shifted uncomfortably. "I just do what I must. That's all." A ripple of laughter, soft and melodic, swept across the room. The queen rose from her throne, moving gracefully toward him. Her attendants lowered their eyes respectfully, though their gazes lingered curious and cautious. "You are brave," she said, stopping just a few paces away, "and brave humans are rare. But your bravery is not what draws me to you. It is your heart, your choices, the way you treat those around you even when no one is watching." Aiden blinked, unsure of how to respond. Compliments of this nature, especially from someone of her rank, felt almost unreal. Yet the sincerity in her gaze told him this was no empty flattery. Before he could speak, the queen gestured behind her. "Bring them forward." Two alien figures approached cautiously. They were familiar faces, her advisors, the ones who had first watched him with suspicion. Their expressions shifted as they stepped closer, and Aiden noticed a subtle change: respect, awe, and something else, almost like hope. "These," the queen continued, "are the ones who doubted. And yet they have seen what I have seen. That humans, when guided by honor and compassion, can achieve the impossible." Aiden felt a weight in his chest. The words were powerful, but they also reminded him of the enormity of the situation. He was no longer merely a visitor or a negotiator. He was now a symbol, a bridge between worlds. The queen returned to her throne, motioning for him to stand beside her. "Come," she said simply. "Stand with me." As he stepped forward, a murmur rippled through the hall. Many of the attendants and guards had never seen a human in this position. Not in centuries, perhaps ever. Some whispered among themselves, others stared in awe. The queen, noticing the stir, raised her hand, and silence fell immediately. "You see," she said, her voice carrying across the hall, "this is not merely a human. This is my companion, my equal, my husband." The words hung in the air. Shock and disbelief rippled through the room. Aiden's own mind struggled to process them. Husband. The word felt foreign, yet somehow natural, fitting in a way he couldn't explain. The queen's smile softened, her eyes never leaving his. "We will face challenges," she said. "There are those who doubt, who fear change. But together, we will show them that trust and unity are stronger than suspicion and separation." One of her advisors stepped forward, bowing deeply. "Your Majesty, the council will need assurances. They will need to understand why a human holds such a position beside you." The queen's eyes gleamed with determination. "Then we will show them, not through words alone, but through actions. Aiden will journey with me, and together we will demonstrate what cooperation across species can achieve." Aiden felt a mixture of pride and anxiety. He had never sought power or recognition, yet here it was thrust upon him, intertwined with the future of an entire species. He looked at the queen, seeing not only authority but genuine trust and expectation. "You are ready," she said, reading his thoughts. "Not because of strength alone, but because you choose to do what is right, even when it is hard. That is the mark of a leader." Aiden nodded, his resolve solidifying. "I will do my best, not just for you, but for all of us." The queen's attendants began preparing a ceremonial space. Fabrics of iridescent color were unfurled, and devices hummed softly, projecting holographic images of the galaxy. The air felt charged, as if the universe itself acknowledged this moment. "Part of this ceremony," the queen explained, "is a vow, a pledge of mutual trust and protection. It is a tradition that spans centuries, yet today it will mark something new, the union of two worlds through the bond of understanding. Aiden glanced around. He could feel the weight of expectation pressing on him. Yet amidst the grandeur and solemnity, he sensed something else, a sense of belonging, of purpose that went beyond survival or duty. When it was time, the Queen extended her hand. "Take my hand, Aiden. Stand with me not just as a guest, but as a partner." He hesitated only briefly before taking her hand. The connection was electric, but not in a threatening way. It was grounding, reaffirming. He felt her confidence, her hope, and something tender that went beyond politics or ceremony. The advisors stepped forward, their expressions a mix of reverence and curiosity. One began the ceremonial recitation, speaking of ancient alliances, the responsibilities of leadership, and the power of trust between beings of different worlds. Aiden listened, committing each word to memory. He realized that while the words were steeped in tradition, their meaning was universal: loyalty, courage, and the willingness to stand for what is right, even against overwhelming odds. As the ritual continued, the Queen and Aiden moved in harmony, following gestures and phrases that symbolized unity. The attendants watched, their initial skepticism replaced by admiration. Some subtly nodded, acknowledging the human's unexpected grace. Finally, the ceremony reached its climax. The Queen raised her hand high and Aiden mirrored her. A brilliant light spread through the hall, not blinding but warm, filling every corner. It seemed to pulse with life itself, responding to their shared presence. "This light," the Queen said, her voice ringing with authority, "is the promise of our bond. Not just between us, but between our peoples. May it guide us through the trials ahead." Aiden felt a sense of clarity. In that moment, he understood that his journey was no longer just his own. He was part of something larger, a story that would be remembered across stars and generations. The ceremony ended, but the energy lingered. Attendants and advisors approached, offering respectful greetings and cautious smiles. The atmosphere was charged with hope and possibility. The Queen turned to Aiden, her expression softer now, almost playful. "Do you see?" she asked. "Even in the face of doubt, courage and honesty prevail." Aiden smiled, feeling both relief and pride. "I think I'm beginning to understand that sometimes being human is enough." The Queen laughed softly, a sound that seemed to resonate with the very walls of the palace. "More than enough," she said. "It is a gift, Aiden, and together we will show its true value." As the sun set over the alien city, casting long golden shadows across the crystalline towers, Aiden felt a new chapter of his life beginning. One filled with responsibility, challenge, and above all, partnership. For the first time, he truly understood the meaning of being chosen, not because of might or skill, but because of heart. And with the alien Queen by his side, he knew they could face anything the universe might throw at them. The stars outside twinkled as if in approval, a silent witness to a union that promised hope, courage, and the dawn of a new era. And in that hall, amidst the glow of tradition and the hum of ancient power, Aiden and the Queen stood together, ready to face the galaxy, not as separate beings, but as one. The city beyond the palace walls buzzed with life, a mixture of alien technology and natural beauty, yet something heavier hung in the air. Aiden and the alien Queen, now united not just by ceremony but by mutual respect and trust, knew that their bond would soon face its first test. Intelligence reports had come in from the edges of the sector. A fleet of hostile aliens, long opposed to the Queen's reign, was advancing toward the capital. Their purpose was clear. They sought to challenge her authority and test her people's loyalty. But the Queen had a different plan. "Gather our forces," she commanded, standing tall on the palace balcony, "and prepare the human for what is coming. He will not merely observe. He will lead where his insight can make the difference." Aiden nodded, feeling a mix of excitement and apprehension. He had trained for many things, survived countless dangers, but leading an alien fleet in defense of a civilization that had only just begun to trust him, that was a challenge unlike any he had faced. In the war room, holographic star maps floated above the table, showing the incoming fleet and the layout of the city. Advisors and generals discussed strategies, their voices low and tense. Yet when Aiden spoke, their skepticism faded. His understanding of human tactics, adaptation, quick decision-making, and creativity under pressure was unlike anything they had encountered. Divide their forces, Aiden suggested, pointing at the holographic markers. Draw them into a narrow sector where their numbers won't matter. Use the gravity wells here to slow them down. Then our ships can strike efficiently. The Queen watched him carefully. Your plan relies on calculated risk, she observed. Are you certain our people can follow human-style maneuvers without hesitation? Aiden smiled faintly. With the right instructions they can. They will trust you, and through that trust they will trust me. The Queen's attendants exchanged glances, but she made no objection. Then it will be so. Prepare the fleet. We move at first light. That night, Aiden wandered the palace gardens, the alien flora glowing softly under twin moons. The Queen joined him silently, her presence a comforting shadow. You do not doubt? She asked, her voice quiet but carrying weight. Aiden shook his head. No. Fear exists, of course, but I have something humans call resolve. And besides, I have you beside me, the Queen chuckled softly. And I have you. That is an alliance stronger than any weapon. The next morning, the fleet moved. Ships of varying shapes and sizes filled the skies, maneuvering with precision. The Queen stood at the command center, Aiden beside her, both watching as the first enemy scouts appeared. Aiden's plan unfolded exactly as intended. He gave commands not as a superior but as a guide, helping each alien captain understand the strategy. His instructions were simple, clear, and adaptable, human logic applied in a universe that often resisted clarity. When the first enemy ships entered the narrow sector, the effect was immediate. Their numbers became a liability. Their formations broke apart under concentrated strikes, gravity wells pulling them into controlled chaos. The Queen's fleet responded with power and precision, cutting off escape routes and forcing surrenders. Yet even as the battle seemed to turn in their favor, a larger threat emerged. A massive cruiser, shielded and bristling with weaponry, pushed through the blockade, aiming directly for the city. Panic rippled among the defenders, but the Queen remained calm, placing her hand on Aiden's arm. You will guide us now, she said simply. Aiden analyzed the cruiser's trajectory, thinking in terms of human strategies but applying them to alien technology. We need a diversion, he said, pointing at a smaller fleet segment. They will focus on this decoy. Meanwhile, we strike at their engines from above. It's risky, but it's the only way. The Queen nodded. Then let it be so. Trust in your plan and we will follow. The diversion worked flawlessly. Enemy attention shifted and Aiden led a specialized strike team directly toward the cruiser. He moved with confidence, coordinating ships, timing attacks, and improvising as the enemy adapted. The alien crews began to understand his style, reacting instinctively to his commands. The cruiser's shields faltered under the concentrated assault. With one final coordinated strike, it was disabled, floating helplessly in space. Victory was within reach. Back at the command center, the Queen watched, pride shining in her eyes. You've done what many believed impossible, she said softly. You have shown them that humans alongside aliens can overcome anything. Aiden shook his head, feeling the exhaustion settling in. It's not just me. It's your people. They followed even when the strategy seemed unconventional. That trust, that's what made this possible. The enemy retreat was swift. Ships that had once threatened the capital now fled, leaving the skies quiet once more. Citizens and soldiers alike celebrated cautiously, aware that danger could always return, yet inspired by the victory. Later, as the dust settled, the Queen summoned Aiden to her private chamber. You have proven yourself, Aiden, not only in courage but in leadership. Our people respect you now, and many will look to you for guidance in times to come. Aiden felt a warmth he had never known. I never expected this. I only wanted to help, to make a difference. You have done more than that, she said. You have changed perceptions, bridged worlds, and strengthened bonds that once seemed impossible to unite. Humanity has earned a place in our galaxy because of you. For the first time, Aiden allowed himself to imagine the future. He could see collaboration, shared knowledge, and peace slowly building, powered not by fear or domination, but by respect, courage, and intelligence. The Queen stepped closer. And now, Aiden, you stand not just as a hero or a guide, but as my partner in all things. Our bond is no longer symbolic, it is real, recognized, and enduring. Together we will shape the path forward. Aiden took her hand, feeling the quiet strength in her grasp. "I am ready," he said, and he meant it with every fiber of his being. Outside, the city lights glimmered against the night sky, and the twin moons cast a serene glow over the victorious fleet. In the streets, alien citizens celebrated their victory, many whispering tales of the human who had turned the tide, earning a place beside their queen. Over the coming days, Aiden worked tirelessly alongside the queen, helping to rebuild damaged areas, strengthen defenses, and establish new policies that emphasized cooperation between humans and aliens. His presence inspired confidence and unity, proving that differences could be a source of strength rather than division. The Queen's court, once wary of the human presence, now embraced him as a symbol of hope. Children and scholars alike sought his guidance, curious about humanity and eager to learn the lessons he could teach. And through it all, the Queen remained by his side, a constant reminder of the bond they shared. One evening, as the twin moons reflected in the crystalline rivers of the city, Aiden and the Queen stood together atop a tower. She looked out over the skyline, her eyes soft with reflection. "You've changed everything," she said. "Not just for our people, but for the galaxy." Aiden smiled. "We've changed everything. Together." She turned to him, her smile radiant. "Then let us continue, Aiden. There are worlds to reach, alliances to form, and understanding to spread, and I can think of no better partner for the journey than you." He nodded, feeling a surge of purpose. The universe was vast, filled with challenges and wonders alike, but he no longer faced it alone. As they looked toward the stars, Aiden realized that the future was not something to fear. It was something to build with courage, intelligence, and trust as the foundation. And with the alien queen at his side, he knew that no obstacle was too great, no enemy too strong, and no mystery too deep. The story of a human and an alien queen, once unimaginable, had become reality. Their bond would not only endure but thrive, a testament to the power of bravery, compassion, and unity across worlds. And so, amidst the endless expanse of stars, the human and the queen began the next chapter of their journey, side by side, as equals, as partners, and as symbols of hope for all who looked to the heavens and dreamed of something greater. The galaxy watched silently, knowing that this was only the beginning.